It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you, how you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes?
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 Now it's party.
Welcome back to Gear TV, episode 2. How you doing? I'm Jeff, the producer, here with my co-host, Joe Pietaro, editor-in-chief of FitnessRxForMen.com. The last time I said online.com, but I learned. It took me 2 shows, but I got it.
But we would figure it out.
Yeah,
it's close enough.
You know, we talk to smart people. Of course, Pete, the intern, on the other side, making sure the cameras are working and doing all the editing and wearing his gray gear shirt. Maybe one day we'll bring him on the show, but for now he's just...
we should, bro.
Nah, he's just an underling for now. We'll bring him on the 3rd show.
3rd?
Yeah,
right.
3rd, maybe.
Whatever you say, bro.
So this past weekend was the 2014 Tampa Pro show, and that was also called the...
Wings of Strength PBW Tampa Pro.
The Wings of Strength PBW Tampa Pro show.
Things.
I keep on forgetting these things. And of course, I was very happy to see that in the men's open division, Victor Martinez making a huge impact, winning it all. What do you think about that?
Obviously, he was the favorite going in, Victor. It wasn't a great lineup, but it was, there was some good guys in that lineup. It wasn't any slouches at all, that top part of that lineup. Victor needed to get the W to qualify for the Olympia. The Olympia is better with Victor Martinez in it, and now we're going to see that.
Absolutely. And, Victor was always a favorite of mine. I'm sure of yours, too. He just has that unbelievable symmetry. I had the opportunity to work with him last year at MD, filming a bunch of training videos, spending some time with him. He was the guy that I looked up to when I was getting involved in the industry. And it's just really cool to see a guy like that making a huge comeback. Victor, we're all rooting for you. Congrats on that win. And like you said, rounding out the top 5, we have William Bonnet coming in 2nd, Mohammed Banouk coming in 3rd. Is he related to Samir?
I don't know. It's the same spelling, though.
You're the editor-in-chief for Fitness RX for Men, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey Pete, do us a favor and check and see if Banouk is related to Samir.
In my self-defense, Fitness RX for Men, we cover the MPD, not the bodybuilding.
Right, Gerard Butler lookalikes on the cover. I understand. Coming in 4th place, IFBB Pro Maxx Charles, a local of Long Island, and we're actually going to have him in the studio later on today to talk about him. He's one of the guys that came out of nowhere. Huge muscle bellies, unbelievable symmetry, and just always shredded every single show. I mean, there's never a time that he gets on stage. And I'm going back, obviously. He just turned pro recently, so he made his pro debut this year. He came in 5th in the New York Pro.
Yes. Came
in 4th at this show. And even prior to that, for years, he's been competing in the NPC. He always came in shredded. Yeah,
Max is a big guy. He's got a lot of size. He's got a very different type of eating habits, which we'll get into when Max is here in a little bit. But it was only his 2nd pro show, like you said, 5th in the New York Pro, which is great. I mean, that's obviously one of the top shows on the IFBB calendar, probably the 3rd most prestigious after the O and the Arnold. Then you got the New York Pro, Tampa Pro. He finishes 4th, so a good start for a young guy like Maxx Charles on the pro circuit.
Absolutely, and we'll get to talk to Max later on and talk a little bit more about his career and his background, how he got started and all that stuff. And of course, coming in 5th place, a guy who I've had the opportunity to talk to many times over the past few years is Ben White. Ben, glad to see you on that stage again. You looked awesome, and hopefully, we'll get to see more of Ben White. Have you ever spoken to him in person?
Yeah, I've spoke to Ben. He's an interesting character. He's a good guy.
He's really cool.
He likes to have fun.
Yeah.
He's the people really get into him when he's up there posing, and Ben White's good for the sport, I think, as well. Like the guy like Victor making the Olympia, he's a fan favorite. Ben White is also another fan favorite like that. So it's good to see him finish in the top 6 in a show like Tampa.
Absolutely. Let's go down the rankings in the 212 division. Hidetaka Yamagishi winning the 212. How about that?
Interesting. First pro win for Hyde as a 212 a guy. He's come close a few times. He's always done okay in the open. Obviously, his height and his width didn't help his cause. He always had great lines, and his physique was always on top, great conditioning, probably better suited for the 212. So once it went from 202 to 212, he slid down after that a little bit, and he's done pretty good, but it's nice to see him get his first Pro W and puts him right there in the Olympia, which is going to be a loaded 212 this year. So if Yamagishi does decide to do the Olympia, which I'm sure he will, it's going to be even better with him in that 212 category. Although
he will have gear athlete Aaron Clark to contend with,
that's
who
true.
Did best him earlier this year at the Arnold, coming in third.
Yes.
So, that's going to be actually one of the best 212 Olympias to date.
It's loaded, this 212 division right now. I mean, Flex Lewis has already said this is going to be his last 212. From what I hear, he's taking off 2015 to put on size and then compete in the Open. And he says that he feels he's best when he's like in that 230, 240 range, that he loses some of that good size when he has to cut down for the 212. So that's why he wants to go out as the champ. So he's going to coming into the show top shape to go out as a champ. Because let's say for some reason he comes in off and gets knocked off. Does he make that same decision? Who knows? We got to see. But Flex Lewis, besides him, great lineup all around with Jose, Aaron Clark, David Henry last year, who's won this before as a 202, and now he came in second recently. So that is really an interesting category going into September.
Oh, it's great. And also rounding out the 212 at the Tampa Pro Show this year, coming in second, Marvelous Marvin Ward, Tricky Jackson, Thomas Bengali, and Batola Abasor. What's his last name? Abasor?
Exactly.
Sorry about that. That was just a joke. You can blame me. I'm the moron here. But again, like the 212, a really great division. And moving on to the actually a class who I just spoke to this guy who won the men's physique at the Tampa Pro, Sadik Hadzovic, a local of New York, taking the first place at the Tampa Pro. Really interesting. Sadik is a guy who always comes in looking his absolute best.
Yes.
Ripped. I think he's redefining what the men's physique class should look like. Him, along with, of course, IFBB Pro Jason Poston, gear athlete, who just dominated this year. 3 shows in a row, winning all 3. I mean, you talk about making it interesting. I mean, these guys, along going up against Mr. Olympia himself, Mark Anthony, I think actually it's going to be interesting to watch the men's physique class this year at the Olympia.
I agree. And Sadik, we have a story on him in the September Fitness RX for Men magazine. Jason, we're going to have a story coming out in the following issue in November. So I got to hang out with both of them at Bev's. We did videos with them. We did the shoots, did the interviews. Sadik's a great guy. Won the New York Pro in 2013. Came in second this year to Jason. And he's headed to the Olympia. He was doing the Olympia anyway. This was almost like a warm-up show for him. And the story we did, which is an obvious characteristic of his that just you notice right away, is his V-taper. He's got an amazing V-taper. Comes in shredded all the time. So this is going to be an interesting, Olympia for the men's physique. And I think it's going to be, you're going to see Mark Anthony's the defending champion. You're going to have Jason and Sadik. You're going to have Anton's going to be there. So there's a lot of guys that have a chance to really knock off Mark Anthony. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down there.
3 unique looks, and that's what bodybuilding is all about. Bringing that uniqueness to the stage and seeing who actually tops it off. So rounding out the top 5 in men's physique, Anton Antipov coming in second. I saw him turn pro a few years back here in New York, another New York native. Tristan Murray takes 3rd. Emmanuel Banks takes 4th. Michael Ferguson takes 5th in the men's physique class. I always had trouble trying to put together like what exactly they're looking for in the men's physique class, and I thought it was the kind of beach division, where it's like you got abs and you have a certain look, but it's starting to approach 70s bodybuilding to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I actually look at Frank Zane and I look at the guys.
Perfect example.
It's unbelievable how similar that those two bodies look. The top men's physique guys and him.
You look at Zane, 77, 78, 79, when he won his 3 in a row at the Olympia, and you compare him to a guy like Sadik, to Mark Anthony, to Jason Poston. Jason might even be thicker than him. Jason, when we did this shoot, he was just coming off the New York Pro. He was thick as a wall, and he looked great. He still had his abs. He was tight. He was shredded still. He was filled up, and he still was in contest-ready shape. And then you see a guy like Frank Zane. Obviously, the big difference is the thighs, but we don't know what these guys' thighs look like because they cover them. These guys squat. These guys work their legs. They're not ignoring legs, but you can't see them. They're not judged on them. So that's the biggest difference between, like you said, a 70s look bodybuilder a la Frank Zane versus one of these guys now, is that we can't see what their legs look like, which is unfortunate because I bet you they have thighs that are going to be matching and be symmetrical with the rest of their bodies.
Oh, sure. And Jason's constantly putting up videos of him squatting yeah. crazy amounts of weight. So, you know, relatively speaking, for like a men's physique guy, he's a pretty strong dude. And we will be hearing from Jason later on today with a weekly update, as we will from Lindsay Waters, IFBB Bikini Pro. Speaking of bikini, let's see who came in first. Oh, look at that. India Polino with a comeback. We haven't heard from her in a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, India, she won a few shows. She was right up there as one of the top bikini but competitors. And then, you know, like you said, we didn't hear from her for a little while. She didn't win. But going into this show, she was definitely the name that jumped off the lineup cards. And it's good to see. I think it's interesting if, you know, you want to see these top competitors keep getting W's like that, setting up for the Arnold, setting up for the Olympia, so we can see the best of the best go at it against each other. And India's going to be there now.
Absolutely. Let's just mention the rest of the top 5. Bianca Berry coming in second, coming in third, Noema Ola coming in fourth, Michelle Lewin, and of course, coming in fifth, another name who I haven't seen in a while, Vanessa Campbell, who always brings a great look to the stage. And a special shout out to Lacey DeLuca, 6th place, Lacey. We're always watching you. We always know that you're bringing your best package. So
the lovely Lacey DeLuca.
See, the lovely Lacey DeLuca. He added a nickname to you because you have to have a nickname. Lovely Lacey DeLuca. I like that. LLD.
Yeah.
It's kind of like LLC, but not really.
LLD. That's cool.
Let's go to Pro Fitness. Bethany Sistanino once again dominating fitness. You know, she's destined for that eventual Miss Olympia title. She'll have to contend with, of course, the 1,000-time winner and one of my favorites, Adela Garcia. You know, on that fitness stage. But Bethany, like, consistent package, always looks fantastic, always ripped. She just has a really nice look, and her fitness routines are always, you know, fun to watch and everything. So
I tell you, as a bodybuilding, you know, journalist and fan also, I enjoy watching the fitness. Those routines, if anybody out there has never seen a pro fitness routine or even an amateur fitness routine, do yourself a favor, go YouTube that and watch it. These women are amazing, the things that they can do. Obviously, they're beautiful. They got great costumes. It takes a lot of preparation to get ready and to make these routines with the music and the timing. So it's, to me, I really appreciate watching these fitness women go about their business. And Bethany is one of the best. Obviously, you know, she's going to be at the Olympia. There's the top names going into the Olympia. She's definitely going to be one of those ones that has a great chance to walk out of there with the first place trophy. And what a great story is the power couple with Gaetano and her. So,
oh yeah, what's up, Guy?
It's so cool. So to have you know, people together like that in the industry, both competing together, which Guy is also going to be competing in the 212 at the Olympia. It will be a great story to see two of them walk out with trophies, regardless if they're first, second, or third. It'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Congrats, Bethany. And of course, let's go down the rest of the top 5. Darian Tissenbaum taking second, third place, Kristen Duba, fourth, Saminka Ludmila. Sorry if I hacked that one. Joe made me do it. And fifth place, no, you didn't. Sarah Kovac taking the 5th place in fitness. And finally, how can we forget about pro figure? Latoya Watts, who I've seen over the past couple of years, climbing up the ranks. Great look, symmetrical, amazing, beautiful. And of course, she deserved that top slot. Second place, Alicia Coates. Third, Megan Olsen. Fourth, Kamala Mako. And fifth, Wendy Fortino. A really good, fun show, the Tampa Bay Pro. That rhymes, 2014. Catch it next year, this year, and for all years to come. Let's take a break now. This is Gear TV. I'm Jeff, the producer, with my co-host, of course, Joe Pietaro, editor-in-chief of FitnessRxForMen.com. We'll be back in just a minute with our gear athlete updates, and then we'll have a special segment with IFBB Pro Maxx Charles. Be back in a minute.
It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you, how you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes?
Welcome to Muscle in the Afternoon on Gear TV. I'm Pete Khatcherian. This week on Gear TV, we have IFBB Pro's Maxx Charles in the studio, fresh off the Tampa Pro, where he finished in 4th. His second pro show after making his pro debut in New York. Maxx has cracked top 5 once again. The show that Victor Martinez dominated. Charles had the opportunity to compete with international pros as Holland's William Bonac took 2nd, and Lebanon's Mo Benou finished in 3rd, while Charles finished ahead of Ben White, who grabbed that 5th place slot. While Charles clearly has one of the most dominant upper bodies in the IFBB, he's often been critiqued on being held back by his less developed legs. But if he manages to bring them up to proportion, the question is, can anyone beat him? In addition to the open class, the Tampa Pro had a stacked lineup of 212 competitors, where Hidetaka Yamagishi took his first pro win since dropping down to 212, as well as Marvin Ward successfully taking his highest placing to date in the IFBB ranks in 2nd place. Taking 3rd was Ricky Jackson, with Thomas Benigli in 4th, and grabbing that 5th place slot was Beto Abespour. A slightly disappointing finish after coming off a very impressive 3rd place in New York, where Gear Nutra's very own Aaron Clark was victorious. In one of the few women's bodybuilding shows, Sheila Bleck showed up this year in Tampa again and dominated the contest after her 2nd place finish in 2012. With last year off, it looks like Sheila will go on to repeat her 2012 season, hitting the upcoming Olympia in September. In men's and women's physique, we saw Sadik Hadzovic and Heather Grace dominate their divisions as Sadik sought out redemption after being dethroned of his New York Pro title earlier this year by Gear Nutra's very own Jason Poston. Heather Grace battled it out with a very impressive Karina Nascimento, who finished in 2nd, and Jillian Revel in 3rd. Taking the fitness division was Bethany Cisternino, with Victoria Watts victorious in figure, and finally Bikini grabbing her first win of the year and Olympia qualification was India Paulino. Check out Gear TV's YouTube channel, youtube.com/GearNutra. Then head over to the Instagram page at Gear Nutraceutical. And of course, visit our website at GearNutra.com. More Gear TV to come with Jeff the Producer right after this.
Welcome back to Gear TV. I am Jeff the Producer, still here with Joe Pietaro, Editor-in-Chief of Fitness RX for Men Online. Last week we had IFBB Pro Juan Morel, and I told you we were going to have, it's funny because we actually have a product that's named after him, okay? Turned pro in 2013 at the USA's, made his pro debut, took 5th place at a very difficult New York Pro show, just came off a great 4th place finish at the, what show was that again? Tampa Pro. I'm all deluded. You know why?
PBW Wings of Strength Tampa Pro.
That's right. That's exactly right. The PBW Wings of Strength Tampa Pro. You see, that's why Joe Pietaro's here. And that voice is none other than IFBB Pro Maxx Charles. Maxx, welcome to Gear TV.
Thank you.
Now, Maxx, the first time I saw you, we were just talking about that, before we started filming. It was backstage at the Easterns, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, you came out of nowhere. You just had this shredded, unbelievably just very proportioned bodybuilding physique.
For 3 weeks.
Now, how long did you train for that show?
I didn't really train for the show. Actually, there was a show before that. Actually, most people don't know. There was a show before that I was actually really training for. It was maybe, I would say, maybe 4 months before that. I was really training for that because before then I wasn't really into bodybuilding. So since I knew I was gonna do a show, so I said, okay, now I gotta train harder. I gotta diet. So I went training with your hard, and the very first thing that happened, as soon as I started training with your hard, I blew out my knee. Actually, one of the vein of my calf exploded because I was going so crazy.
What were you doing?
I was squatting, doing front squat, going up and down, and my knee popped, and I didn't stop. So after that, I said, I'll be all right. And after that, I moved to the leg press, load up the whole thing. And every freaking rep I did after that, I could hear my knee snapping. And back then, I had this type of crazy mentality. So I said, if I'm here to get work done. So I'm not going to leave until my workout is done. So I just kept going.
How long were you out with that injury? That's pretty serious injury to get.
Yeah, I was out for a couple months. And as soon as I recovered, actually the first day I got out, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Wow. What kind of surgery did you need?
I didn't do surgery.
You didn't do surgery?
What happened is that one of my veins and my calf just popped open, and the blood in it was leaking inside my leg. So they had to wrap it up and keep my leg elevated so the vein could close back up and all the blood could drain back into my body in the right place. So that was the worst pain I've ever felt, because every time I had to use the bathroom, I had to put my leg down. My leg was here, so all the blood could drain back down to the rest of my body. So as soon as I put it down, it's like all the blood that was going to my body in 1 second, it just washed right back.
So how many weeks prior was that before the show?
It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So 3 weeks and then you end up doing the contest. You know, most people would have took a year off.
No, I didn't do that contest.
Oh, okay.
Because I was, at the time the contest was there, it was just like a week before the contest.
Oh, okay, right.
I was just getting out of the hospital.
Oh, I see.
The first day I got out of the hospital was, I remember I went to this place where I was supposed to get one of those boot lace to wrap around my leg, and then I went to the doctor's office, and the doctor was closed, and he only opened twice a week. So that was on a Tuesday. The next time he was gonna be open was a Friday. I was like, damn, I had these crutches, you know, having a back like I do. Walking on crutches is not the most fun thing. I feel so much pain walking on that thing. They say with the leg thing, I'll be able to work without the crutch. I was like, I'm not gonna walk around with this thing for another 4 days. I said, you know what, I was in the parking lot. I said, I can walk, I don't need this thing. So I pushed it, the crutches, I dropped them on the floor. I said, I can walk by myself. So now when I dropped the crutches, everybody that was down the parking lot was like, what the hell is this guy doing? So I was sitting on one leg like this, and I just pushed all the crutches. So I was like, this guy crazy? So I said, I can do this. And I just slowly. Remember now, my leg hasn't touched the ground for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So now slowly, trying to put my leg on the floor. And I never felt my leg touching the floor. Next thing I know is that I was laying on my face.
Oh, man.
On the ground, because I had no feeling in my leg, so I couldn't even feel when my leg touched the floor. So when I thought my feet was on the floor, I tried to sit on it, I was flat on my face. So I had to gather my crutches back again.
Holy crap.
Back up.
Go back to the doctor and
the
following Wednesday.
I didn't go back to the doctor. I just went, got myself back up, hopped back in my car. So when I got back in my car, I just got out of the car, got in my garage, and I just sit on the chair and just do this. Got the feeling back in my leg. And then actually after that, I just got up slowly and took 2 steps. And then I would say an hour later, actually, I was back in the gym. Slowly.
Wait a minute, an hour after everything that you just said, you were back in the gym.
Because
my
main goal was to actually be able to get feeling in my leg so I could walk on it. Yeah. So people might say it's crazy, but actually it's therapy. It actually got me. But that same day, I was actually able to start walking, because as soon as I started tapping my leg on the floor, getting the feeling back on it, I was actually able to start slowly standing on one feet and then put the other one back down. Actually, I treated myself. So within like a week, I was fine. I was walking normal. So which was supposed to take me 6 months before I could be able to walk normal on my leg. It only took me like a week for me to get back to normal, just because I was stubborn. I just said, I'm going to stay on it until I got back to it. And 6 months later, which is when I did my first show, the Eastern.
Now, how did that affect your training as far as, you know, right after that and even up until now?
I mean, it probably affected my leg training, but every other thing I was able to deadlift. Actually, I was deadlift mostly standing on one leg, because back then I was younger too, so I had a crazy mentality. I wouldn't do the stuff I was doing back then. I wouldn't do them now. I wouldn't do them because it's unnecessary. I got a lot smarter. I wouldn't do stuff like that now.
Well, over time, you know, bodybuilders discover that, you know, there's actually a good range of motion and like a good weight range that you can use to actually maintain and build muscle, as opposed to going crazy. Because powerlifters lift incredibly heavy. They don't necessarily have the most muscle mass.
No, not at all. Yeah,
true.
I think
a lot of people think that I lift the way I live or use half range of motion because that's what I want everybody. I'm telling people that's what they need to do. I don't want anybody to do half range. I'm telling
that's how you train.
For a fact, it works for me.
That's right.
I tried the 4 range thing. That should do crap for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do 4 range knowing that it doesn't work for me just so I can satisfy somebody else, because people say, why you do half range? Why don't you just lower the weight? I say, for what?
Right.
I don't need to lower the weight because I'm putting so much tension on my muscle. They got no choice but to grow.
Right.
They have to go because I know what I have to do to get details. I know what I have to do to bulk up my muscle so I can do both.
Did that injury ever affect your symmetry as far as one leg size compared to the other?
Yeah, of course it does.
How did you compensate for it?
One-legged. I do one-leg leg press to really balance it out. That's the only thing I can do. If I do everything with both legs, there's always going to be this one that's stronger than the other one that's going to push more on one side. Yeah. Even sometimes also when I'm doing let's say if I'm doing hack squat, I have to actually adjust my hip, where I actually put more tension on the weaker leg than I would on the right one, just to kind of balance it out.
Wow, very interesting.
One of the standouts about you, Max, is that you always bring an incredible condition and separation on stage. Okay, were you always ripped, or did you find the right formula in terms of diet and training for you to get that look on stage? Because even coming off of Tampa, you looked incredible.
I mean, off season I'm always in really good shape. I don't think anybody in the off season can be even any harder than me. Not even Dexter Jackson. I know Dexter is like really well known to be in really good shape in the off season, but with me, off season I'll be looking like I'm like 2 weeks out from a show. But being a pro and the pressure to compete at the pro level, you have to put on size. And when you start putting on size, it's actually not gonna be, you're not gonna put on, if I'm trying to grow right now, I just say, okay, by next year I wanna put 20 pounds. In order for me to start putting on the 20 pounds, I have to start drinking some protein shake extra, maybe 2 or 3 serving of protein shake, or start eating some extra meals. And just by eating or doing stuff like that, you're not gonna freaking put straight up 20 pounds of pure muscle. That's gonna come with some water, that's gonna come with some fat.
That's right.
So my off season before I started bodybuilding was just purely, I was like a piece of rock. But when I wanted to really put on size and have to eat a little bit extra, I actually was getting a little softer from the amount of food I had to consume.
Sure.
Because people, like for example, when I did my first interview, I said I used to eat 1 meal and I would still be able to be over 300 pounds. Nobody believed me, but
that's unbelievable.
That's me. I was actually able to do that. I know now I wouldn't do it. But now, regardless of what I have to do as a competitor, that's what I have to do. I cannot eat 1 meal and be able to, like I said, I'm still over like 276 pounds. I don't think I can eat 1 meal.
Let me ask you a question.
I cannot
let me ask you a serious question.
Go down to that solid muscle.
That, like you mentioned the 1 meal, was it a giant meal or was it
just a little meal? It's even smaller than what I've seen most bodybuilders eat at 1 meal.
And like you had that once, and like I think that what you used to say was that
I don't eat it at one time. It's like I have zero appetite. I cannot sit down and eat 1 meal at one time.
Oh, okay.
I'll take a little bit of it and then I'll stop, and then a little bit later on I'll eat a little bit. I cannot eat 1 meal at one time.
So actually, essentially, you were doing, kind of like a meal split, but you were just using that split, 1 meal.
Which is why I was staying so lean and so hard.
Wow.
Because my metabolism was always burning something. I never had any fat to store.
You see, now that wasn't clarified. Okay, so in actuality, Max was eating multiple meals.
I don't really think it really matters how much I clarify things, because I can clarify things to the most accuracy. I think I make this as clear as possible. Next thing you're gonna hear somebody. It's almost like the whole time they're like blah blah blah. I'm not listening. They're still
okay. Refer to Jeff, the producer, says 1 meal spread out multiple times is essentially the same as what most bodybuilders do. However, Max had 1 meal since he didn't have an appetite. He split it up, and I guess inherently you didn't like plan that out. You just said, man, I really don't have an appetite, but I know I have to get this down, so I'm gonna force myself to have this.
I have to get it down, because if I wasn't, sometimes I wish I wasn't a bodybuilder, so I could just live a normal life and not have to worry about what I have to eat, because most people go throughout the day and worry about different things. Me, it's always a concern. I'll be like, how much calories did I have today? How many protein did I eat? I have to go over my head. I'll be like, shit, I didn't really eat enough. I have to really try to get as much. That's always my main struggle, with how much food did I get in for the day. I have to make sure, now this is my job, I have to make sure I get enough meal in me for me to maintain the amount of muscle that I need.
We went from last week from Juan Morel, who has a very unique nutritional, aspect of bodybuilding.
Right.
And I think it was almost like a lateral move to Max's, because very esoteric, his diet as well. Like you said, the 1 meal that you split up, but also the thing that I found very interesting about is the amount of soda that you like to drink.
Crazy.
Which is, it's not the norm for bodybuilding, but it works for Max.
Right.
If Max didn't work, if it didn't work for him, he wouldn't be sitting here right now. So tell us a little bit about that.
I need that in order for me to be able to maintain my size. I need that. Yeah, that's where I get most of my calories.
Actual soda, not like diet soda.
I don't think there's nothing in diet soda.
Well, you said the sugar and the calories. The sugar is what helps you work out.
Yeah, that's where I get most of my energy. You see, all day even when actually before the show started, I tried to hide this. I'm always working on at least a couple of bottles of those. I'm always drinking them, because that's where I get most of my calories from, my nutrition from. But I do try to eat as much food as possible. But I'm not gonna lie to you, telling you that I have a crazy appetite where I can eat. I don't. So I have to do whatever I can. Luckily, my body, just by drinking that, I don't get fat. I can still grow the way I'm supposed to. But as far as drinking like protein shake, like carb drink, whatever I can drink to really make me better. That's what I started doing, because I think it was maybe 2 years ago I noticed that when I started mixing carbs drink with protein and I mixed them together, my muscle got so much fuller. I've become so much harder. I wasn't doing that before. Before I would just mostly focus on eating that tiny bit of food and drinking the soda and the juices. But when I started doing, if I say I can actually drink, so I said, why don't I drink protein shake?
Sure.
So when I started doing that, I don't think it's 100% like having it with your meal,
right?
But having like 3 or 4 servings of those a day definitely add to better than drinking a soda. So on top of that, I can still drink my soda because, shoot, that's my thing. I'm never gonna stop drinking it. So I'm always gonna be able to drink soda. So I might as well add more things to it that can make me better.
You know what's really funny is that again you obviously have a gift of metabolism to be able to accept soda, because the sugar that's in there is one of the causes of obesity. Okay, in like America, it's obviously not obese. It's not making you obese because
you never know.
Oh well, listen.
When I get older, my metabolism might slow down.
Right, but again, it's like you've actually found something very unique, which is why everyone needs to test out what works for you. Obviously, you didn't find this out in one day. Over like the course of years, you said to yourself, you know what, I can't eat the food, but I know I got to get some more protein and carbs, so let me try to drink it.
Of course, I have people that I help train. I have people that I help get ready for show, which actually always ended up getting in shape. And always most people that I train, if I tell, like, I don't know anybody that I've ever trained. Like, if I say I can help you grow your shoulder, I guarantee you those shoulders will grow. If I tell you I can help you grow your arms, I guarantee you those arms gonna grow.
Sure.
Because I do know how to use my muscle connection to make a muscle grow. But people see me train, they say that's not the proper way to train. I would not be able to train you the same way that I train myself.
That's right.
I have to, as soon as I see you moving the weight, I should know which angle you should move it and when you should stop, when you should go any higher. It's not gonna be the same thing that I do. Anytime somebody ever tell me, do something because it works for them, I can never take them serious because I'm not you.
Right.
When somebody tell you, try something, it might work for your body. That makes more sense to me. But instead of anytime somebody generalizes anything, to me it's always a bad sign that you don't know what you're talking about. Well,
sure, because it's easy to generalize. Once you get exposed to something, it's like, oh well, 10 reps work, so this or the second rep.
This is the correct formula. Right. We all should be following it.
And
Joe,
nothing.
And Joe, it's like really interesting to me because Max actually brings up a philosophy that I hear the best trainers say. Okay, which is actually what I try to show Pete, the intern behind the camera. Is that you have to take everyone on an individual basis. You have to see how they lift. You have to see where their range is the strongest. And that's the way that you teach someone how to, like, whether it's build muscle or lose fat. Like, obviously, no one is going to be able to go in and exactly duplicate what you do, which is what I think you're trying to say. But you have enough experience to know how to stimulate the muscles so you put them in the right position.
Of course, because those guys that I train with, there will be time I'll be like, okay, I'll make them do certain exercise when I'm just sitting there watching them, and I won't do it because I know for them it would actually work perfectly. For me, it won't do anything. There'll be stuff that I'll do, I'll tell them skip it and do something else, and I'll do it because there's things that work for me that won't work for them. And even them, they don't understand. I say, okay, if you don't know, then you know what, just do everything that I do. And then they will notice that the next day they don't feel no pop and their body doesn't look the same. They say, why is that? I say, because you have to do what I said, not what I do.
That's right.
Because I can tell what you need to do, and I know what I have to do. You just have to trust me and when I tell you something.
Let's talk a little bit about the shows that you're in recently. We said you were 5th at the New York Pro, 4th at the recent Tampa. Obviously 2 top 6 in your first 2 pro shows. Nothing to be ashamed of. Top 5,
Top 5, Joe.
No, I know. I always say top 6.
The top 5.
That's true. But I always leave the top 6 as kind of a threshold because of the pose down and everything.
If I'm not 6th place, there's no need for it.
But basically what I'm trying to say is that's out of the box, coming out of the box as a rookie IFBB pro. That's phenomenal. That's great.
I know. That's what I hear people say. That's not how I feel though.
He doesn't feel because he didn't win the show. But you know what? The New York Pro, great line up there. Tampa had Victor Martinez. It had Boniak. We had some good bodybuilders in that show as well. What's next for Maxx Charles after that Tampa show?
Next year, I think that's where my main focus is gonna be. I don't think I'm thinking about doing any show. Actually, I know right now, I think I'm qualified to do the Olympia based on points, which will be the last thing on my mind. I wouldn't do that. So that's not an option. I'm definitely not ready after getting 4th place in Tampa. There would be no sense for what I expect from myself. There would be no sense of me even thinking about doing an Olympia. That's a sign for me if I couldn't even come 2nd or 1st for me to even think about doing Olympia, because I'm not going when I do decide to step on that stage first time, I'm not thinking about hoping to get top 10. Any show that I step on stage for, I'm gunning for the #1 spot, and the Olympia is not going to be any exception. I know it's going to sound crazy. If I do it next year, I'm not going to even in there hoping to get top 5. I'm hoping to really win. It doesn't matter what show it is.
Max is in it to win it. Gear TV, I'm Jeff the producer, here with my co-host once again, Joe Pietaro, joined by IFBB Pro Maxx Charles. Max, let's talk a little bit about your background.
Yes.
You were born and raised in Haiti?
Yes.
And when did you come to the U.S.?
In the 1990s.
Okay.
Mid-1990s, yeah.
And how did you get started in bodybuilding? Was there a particular person that you saw that got you started?
Of
course, did you have a mentor?
I saw the movie Commando when I was a young kid in Haiti, and then I saw Arnold. I was like, holy crap, I want to look like that. And then I found out from people, I said, what the hell? Because you'll see him, I see all the actors. I know, okay, they're just actors. I said, this guy, he doesn't look like an actor. He is something else. That's when people tell me, yeah, he's Mr. Olympia. I said, what the hell is that? They say that, he's the biggest bodybuilder in the world. So I didn't even know what Mr. Olympia was. I just said, okay, when I grow up, I want to be Mr. Olympia too. So that's why, so back then I just started, I would get up in the morning and started running. I was maybe 7 years old, get up in the morning, just getting out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, just got every kid on the block, and then we all just go running, and then we'd do push-ups. Anything that had to do with physical activity. I thought actually running would make me big, but I didn't know any better. I thought anything that I was able to do, because there are things like doing push-up and doing stuff like that I was not allowed to do, so I would just sneak around, not letting my parents see me and do them. So running, I know I was allowed to do, so every morning I would just get up and gather all my friends, and then we'd just go running.
When did you start training with weights?
I started training with weights, I think when I was maybe 15 or 16. One of my friends, he actually took me to a little local gym, and I trained with him for 3 months. And after that, I kept training on myself.
And that was here in the U.S.? That was here in the U.S.?
Yes.
Now, how did you learn about getting into competition? Did you follow someone who was already competing? Or?
I've always read the magazine, see what those guys look like in the magazine, and I've always had the intention to compete, but I've never felt that I was ready. I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. I never knew that those guys diet and do anything that they do. So when I see people in the magazine, I was striving to get that same look without dieting or doing anything. I've always really wanted, thinking that all you do is just work out, and then eventually you get to the point where you actually look like that. You didn't do anything else. You didn't diet, you didn't do anything. So I was training and training. That's probably why I was able to be so lean without doing anything, because I thought I could look like that without doing anything. So I've always trained all the years, and trying to get like that. And eventually people started seeing me. They said, dude, we see you all the time. You have freaking lines and things on you that even bodybuilders don't have. Why don't you ever try to do a show? I said, no, because I'm not ready yet. And eventually when I went to Bev's gym, and of course that's where I see people coming in and out. I see all these bodybuilders, and people keep telling me I should compete. And I decided to start getting for a show. And then even though that didn't happen, but I didn't quit, I still wanted to do it, and I did it. When I was backstage, I felt weird. I said, I'm never doing this again. But when I got on stage, I won. I was like, oh shit, I can really do this.
I'm doing this again.
So I kept doing it.
So you actually brought up a good point about the magazines. You know, the only thing that you see are, you know, these very heavily muscular guys who, you know, you just assume that they look like that year round. So let me show you a picture of this guy. This is Maxx Charles. He probably does look like that year round. I don't know though. You know, I never quite saw you in the gym training with chains. Do you ever like do that movement where like you put something on your back, like dips or something?
No, that was just some sexy shot. Sexy
shot
for the photo shoot. You won't see me walking around like that in a regular day.
Thank God.
I'm not that crazy.
But you talk about seeing guys in a magazine. Now you see yourself in a feature in MD magazine. So how does that feel?
It feels good. It feels really good. I don't really know if it feels, I don't really see myself like I saw them. You know, I just see myself, I feel good to be in a magazine, but I don't think I'm amazed to see myself in the magazine like, wow, look at me. Because when I used to see them, I was like, holy shit, look at this guy. But I don't think I see myself in the magazine, I say, oh, look at how I look. I'm always my worst critic, because actually right before I came here, I saw a picture of myself that somebody posted on the site, and I saw somebody say this picture have to be Photoshopped. And I'm looking at why I was so funny. Why before I read that, I was looking at this picture, and all I could see in it is negative thing. I said, shit, I look ridiculous. I mean, I said, this need to be better. This need to be better. It's not good enough. And somebody else look at it and say it has to be Photoshop. I'm looking like, are you kidding me? To me, that's a horrible look.
That's
But when
called
other
a
people look at
backwards
it,
compliment, though. If they're saying it's Photoshop, they're saying you look freaky
But I don't
huge.
really know how much of a compliment that is. That's
like I said, it's a kind of a backwards compliment because they're jealous. They're saying, "Oh, this guy can't be that big. This has got to be Photoshop." But you know what? That is you.
Opinion, and then they just state it. I never really think most people are jealous. They just some people might be, but the specific person that said that, I don't think it was out of jealousy, because that's somebody that I've also read many things that he said. I don't think he said that out of jealousy. I think he probably said it because he thinks that it's possible that it is,
But you know it's not.
I know.
That's you.
To me, there's no way that it could be, because it doesn't. The picture don't even look good to me.
I actually disagree. I'm looking at this picture now. It's obviously photoshopped down. They actually took off some muscle, because I don't think it would look realistic if you had all your muscle here. No, but I mean seriously, I see you all the time at Bev's, and I saw you backstage, like, getting ready to New York Pro and everything. Not only is it not Photoshop, but it's unrealistic in person. So he's actually walking around. He has a Photoshop attached to his body. So when you see him in person, it is actually Photoshop. He has a computer in his brain to make him look like that.
CGI.
But so when you finally discovered, okay, this is what I have to do. I have to bulk, I have to cut, I have to do all this stuff. Have you found the perfect formula yet that like actually works for you, or are you still trying to develop like?
I think I found the formula that how to get in shape, how to get like conditioned for a show. That I think I do, but the formula for good off season is for how to eat. That to me, find a way to bring up my appetite for off season where I can really get all my meals, and that would be the perfect formula. I think. I know actually, if I'm able to do that, then my confidence as far as a bodybuilder would be way higher, because the amount of muscle that I'll be able to put on would be ridiculous. I wouldn't have any problem. But that's something I'm still striving to be able to do. And I think this year, knowing what I know and what things I've been trying, there's no one way or another I have to be able to do that, because I cannot keep making any more excuses. I'm not gonna just let that be the reason why I did not accomplish my dream. That won't happen. So one way or another, I have to make that happen.
You're very hard on yourself, Max.
I have to be. It's not a joke to me. I don't
Your
take
own
it
worst critic. You know what? Yeah. But that's good, because it keeps you pushing to go even higher and harder. And like you said, you know what works for you, and you know what's going to improve. So It looks like there's a lot of good things to come for Maxx Charles and his fans out there.
And actually, you said you like drinking things, and you really don't have too much of an appetite. So guess what? Gear actually created a product called Max Shock, and it's so perfect that Maxx Charles in the studio, you're gonna get all 3 of our flavors. Now I want you to take this after you're done training. Max Shock, after you're done training.
Double X on it.
well, you see, we didn't have jars big enough to actually put all, the whole size. We didn't have enough to put the Photoshop photo on there. But Max, I want you to have that. I want you to try it out. Give me some personal feedback. If you hate it, I want to know. If you like it, I want to know. I want honest feedback.
I'll give you honest feedback.
Good. Max, I just, I want to thank you for taking time out. I know you have a busy schedule and everything. Really appreciate it. Good luck with all your future shows.
Thank you.
This is Gear TV. I'm Jeff the producer, Joe Pietaro, IFBB Pro Maxx Charles. We'll be back in just a minute.
It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you. How you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes?
Welcome back to Gear TV. I am Jeff, the producer. Once again, I am without my co-host, who just like last week had to head back to fitnessrxformen.com to resume his editor-in-chief duties. We'd like to thank Joe for stopping by a second time. Hopefully we'll be seeing him next week and beyond, although he is a busy guy. But we do have a vacant seat now, and I was mentioning a guy behind the camera. Hey, Pete, why don't you come and sit down in front of the host seat? Just so he can get a little reunion going on. As some of you know, Pete was formerly called Pete the Intern. I still call him Pete the Intern, but he's now changed his name to Pete Khatcherian. Pete hasn't
took my real name back.
Right, exactly. Well, you know, you had to claim it back because I know you as Pete. Everyone out there knows you as Pete the Intern. So you will forever be known as Pete the Intern.
Yeah, still now, Pete the Intern.
Yeah, isn't a problem, right? It's fine. It's good.
No, you call me whatever you want.
See, look at this. Well, not like whatever you want. Like, you got to be a little cool about it. You know, you can't be called Pete the Idiot or something like that.
No, nobody does that anyway.
Right, you see, because you know better. You know, you can't be doing that stuff. But, Pete, so you've been doing this special segment for us, Muscle in the Afternoon. You've also been doing a segment like that, very similar for years. How do you come up with these stories? Because, you know, it has to be difficult every week to come up with some new topics to talk about, especially in the world of fitness and bodybuilding.
Well, basically, there's always a lot of different things going on. I just try and stay on top of, you know, what's going on with social media mostly. You know, that's where I get most of my information from. And, you know, different stories, whatever kind of piques my interest, I think. I like to, you know, let other people know what I think is interesting at the time.
And you've also competed a few times. I don't think people know about that. You've competed.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in, you know, working behind the scenes in the bodybuilding industry, but I've also been on stage as well. That's I started doing that before working in the industry. You know, started in 2009.
And you were first a bodybuilder, and then you gave men's physique a shot.
Yeah, started in bodybuilding in 2009, competed again in 2011, which was right around that time. That's when men's physique was coming out. You know, and everyone told me I fit the part for that better than bodybuilding. So I gave it a shot, too. I actually competed Eastern USA's, took 5th that show, competed at the Nationals, too.
Right. Now, there's a very interesting thing about the men's physique that I'm going to put out there when you competed in that division. Who did you place behind a couple of times who's actually a major IFBB Pro now?
That was Matt Acton. I actually competed I did 3 shows, 3 men's physique shows. Every single one of them, he won that class and the overall.
Right.
So, you know, me and him were kind of battling that out a little bit for a little while.
Right. So, actually, if you would have stood it out, you probably would have been a pro right now. I mean, if you really think about it.
Yeah. You know, like I said, I was doing bodybuilding in 2011, and then that same year I was doing men's physique, so that was a long year for me for competing. So after I did, you know, I think there was 5 shows in that one year, I said I got to take a break from competing, you know, the dieting and all that. I just wasn't really mentally there to keep competing. Right. You know, I said I was going to take time off and compete again and never got around to actually stepping on stage again. You know, it's possible it'll happen again. Right.
Well, you know, we need you behind the scenes, so I don't want you on that stage anymore.
No, not right now. Not while we got all this going on. This is it's where my focus is.
All right, good. See, that's what we got, Pete, because, you know, he's dedicated and, you know, he likes to do this stuff. He's passionate about it, and welcome aboard Gear.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. Well, thanks for watching this week's show. Next week, we have an amazing guest. I don't want to say who he is. Just like this week, we kept it a surprise, but you'll definitely know who it is, and you'll definitely like who it is. Until next week, I'm Jeff, the producer. That's Pete, the intern. This has been Gear TV Episode 2. See you next time.